We're increasing our social housing stock by 750 units, refurbished and new units over the course of the next 10 years. And for me, that's a worst case scenario. That's the minimum amount I want to increase our stock by. And no other local government entity is doing that. It's not necessarily easy because the current regulatory settings actually encourage us to sell down our social housing stock, to get out of it. And that's not something we want to do. We want to have that long-term security, we want to have that long-term focus, and we want to invest in those people's lives, and the most vulnerable people here in Wellington. So we put together the task force, and it's come back to us with a series of recommendations. It's talked to us about us recommending a new role for council and the direct provision not just of social housing, but of affordable homes and the private rental accommodation sector as well. It's talked to us about building on areas like the Special Housing Accord and having greater coordination with central government, but ultimately us both investing in new houses in the city. It's talked about changes to our planning and ratings rules to incentivise more home building and in greater density, and we're seeking to do that at the moment. And it's talked also about the leadership role that local government can play together with community housing providers, but that we can play in actively being involved in the market, and especially in the rental market. So I mentioned before some of our policies we're seeking to enact, the 750 new social housing units. We've offered a $5,000 rate rebate for anybody seeking to build their first home, and in particular, apartments within the city. So if you buy an apartment off the plans, we'll give you a rates rebate up to $5,000 to encourage you to build that new apartment, to build that new home, to encourage more supply within the market. We're restructuring our council housing and consents division. We want to focus on having a one-stop shop for consents. We want to have a new council agency, an urban development authority called Build Wellington, that again will actively be involved in the market, and it will help to secure more supply, but also to focus on large-scale home building across the city. And today I want to announce another core component of what I believe will be really important for over the next 10 years here in Wellington, and that's working together with the community housing sector, and this will be right at the core of the announcement as well. We want to focus on actually entering the private rental accommodation market. And I'll give you a good example of how it's worked in the past few years. So Victoria University has a dire shortage of student accommodation within the city. We've seen queues of 20 to 30 people outside any rental at the start of the university semester. And they've actively worked with the private rental accommodation providers, so building owners. And they've worked with them providing long-term leases to enable a level of pre-commitment and a level of certainty for those building owners to refurbish their buildings and to use that for student accommodation. I want to do the same thing for Wellington on a citywide basis, where we are prepared to work with private building owners to offer 15 to 20-year leases, pre-commitment, that they can therefore loan, that they can refurbish their buildings, and for those apartments to add into the rented accommodation, into affordable accommodation, and to social housing provision. So we'll help catalyse the market and work with them. Already the individuals that I've talked to are extremely supportive. They see this as an active way of council working with them to make sure this can actually happen. And it's relatively straightforward, but it means for us, we're taking on a degree of risk. The benefits for Wellington are potentially threefold. First of all, we secure more affordable private rental accommodation. We have more social housing stock within the city as well to build on those 2,400 units we already have. Secondfold, for those buildings around the city requiring earthquake strengthening, where they're unable to get retail loans from banks because there is no pre-commitment, there's no value return in those buildings, we can be there as a cornerstone tenant to enable a bank to provide funding for earthquake strengthening in those buildings that sit beneath, for example, 67% in the city and are struggling to find tenants. And thirdly, and importantly for us as a city as well, we're encouraging more people to live in those areas where we want them to live, in the CBD, in our suburban centres, in those areas that are close to services, that are on public transport networks, that save us as a city having to grow out, and we can grow up. And that's an important focus for Wellington, because we're a compact city. We're a city that can't continue to grow because we've got these natural restrictions with the harbour out here and the hills right behind us. You're an important partner in this, because currently, legislatively, we don't have access to income-related rent. In order for it to make it more affordable for our tenants, we want to partner with the community housing providers we have in this city and those that are interested in coming and establishing in Wellington to do so, and to do so more affordably. So we'll look to do so effectively by helping you, enabling you to work with us to provide that commitment around leases in the long term. So later this year, we'll be taking RFPs out into the market. We'll be taking an RFP to the market to work with community housing providers, to work with those private building owners. And already we've commenced those discussions, and I know that they're very interested in doing so. So that's our plan, and that's our ambition. We want to scale this up.